Hey everybody, this is Matthew with Forging Your Legend, where we help people turn their toughest battles into their greatest legends. So, speaking of legends, I want to share a legend with you today, or rather the myth of Sisyphus, that guy who's supposed to push a boulder up a hill for all eternity. It's a Greek myth that I think has a lot more application to healing chronic illness and overcoming major challenges than people would think. On the surface, it's just a story of futility and doing a task that is impossible and that will never end. You're just putting your life force into without any reward. But when we dig deeper, there's actually a lot of hope in the story. So Sisyphus was a king in an ancient kingdom, and the stories vary on exactly how these events went down, but basically he cheated death a couple of times, and in so doing may have tricked some gods, and the gods don't like to be tricked, may have pissed off Hades or Zeus or both, or maybe others. But at any rate, they punished him by making him push a boulder up a hill for eternity. And every time he gets the boulder almost to the top of the hill, it rolls right back down. So that's where we get the term Sisyphean endeavor, an endeavor of futility and maddening repetition that gets you nowhere. Now, you can see this surface level similarity to being in a state of chronic illness and trying to heal that, or facing some other seemingly impossible challenge. But there's actually much deeper lessons in this that are really, really cool. So one is a lesson about the miraculous nature of life. And that's the fact that he cheated death not once, but twice. And those of us who've been through something really severe, we know what that's like. I've cheated death multiple times. I should have been dead, and I'm not. So it's important to realize that's a miracle in itself. And as long as you're here, there's still hope. There is always a way forward as long as you got breath in your lungs. The second thing we need to see is that the accomplishment of the goal is not the only value here. Obviously, I'm not one of those people who's going to tell you, well, just focus on the gratitude. It's okay if you never heal or you never accomplish this. I'm not the one who's going to tell you that. That's for other coaches. I'm going to tell you, heck yes, you're going to find it. You're going to get there. But there's also a ton of value to be found in the journey and in the other lessons that go along with it. This is a Stoic philosophy. The obstacle is the way. The idea that the thing that's standing in front of you that feels like it's the obstacle to you living and being who you're meant to be is the thing that makes you into who you're meant to be. So I would encourage you to adopt that mentality. Sisyphus is pushing this boulder up a hill, straining with all his might against a massive obstacle. What do you think that gives him? It gives him massive physical strength. It gives him mental and emotional strength and focus. And when that boulder comes rolling back down the hill, maybe it's running him over, or maybe it's just going past him, I don't know. But you can bet he's going to be at least emotionally crushed. And he's going to have to develop that ability to say, I'm going to keep going in the face of absolute hell. Because he could give up. He could try to stop. Setting aside the fact that the gods might find a way to force him to do it, you can give up. Or you can keep going. You can let that constant struggle break you, or you can make it forge you into something incredible. Forge you into a legend, so to speak. So that's what I did. At first, I let the challenges I dealt with broke me down to nothing. But eventually, I learned how to take what I was dealing with and let every defeat fuel me. Every defeat made me stronger. Because every time I got knocked down, I fueled that into my desire. I channeled it into the end goal that I had in mind, which was getting well and living my life. And it worked. Not right away, but it did over time. Because I knew how to just do that illogical, insane thing and say, every time I'm defeated, it gives me more resolve to succeed. And that brings us to the final thing we need to see in this. And there might be more you can find. You can add those to the comments if you want. But it's important to understand that this is not the end of the story. We're seeing Sisyphus mid-story. You're mid-story. As long as you're alive, you're mid-story. There's a theme in mythology that you need to understand, and that is that it's cyclical. If we take another myth for a moment and look at Norse mythology and a story of Loki getting into trouble as he does, but this time he pissed the gods off so much that they chained him into a cave and he had his own punishment with poison dripping on his face and all this stuff. But the part I want to focus on here is at the end of the world, he will be released from his bonds and he will fight in the great end of the world battle against the gods. And it'll be absolute mayhem that destroys everything. And that's mythology for you, especially Norse mythology. But the point here is whatever you're dealing with, it's not the end. Sisyphus has a lot of things that could go in a different direction for him. He may figure out how to get that boulder to the top of the hill and make it stay there. He may find a way to trick his way out of doing that anymore. He may make a deal with the gods that gives him something that sets him free in exchange for something they want. Or maybe the gods will get bored and they will just decide to set him free. And it's even possible that at the end of the world, they won't know what to do. They'll be facing this awful situation and they're going to freak out and say, who can we call on that has the skills to face an impossible situation? And then they think of Sisyphus and they need his help and they call upon him. Now, I'm not suggesting that your journey is about, going through this so you can save the world. Maybe it is, or maybe it's something simpler, but it's all valuable, whatever you're going to use this for. You might use this to have a more empathetic heart with other people who are struggling. Maybe you can coach them. Maybe you can help them in some way. And maybe it's going to be other challenges that you're going to be ready for because you went through this. Or maybe it's just about your soul's development. I don't know what the reason is for you, but I can tell you that what you choose to tell yourself, the story you tell yourself about this, is vital. You can either tell yourself the story that this is an eternal punishment, God hates you, you're a victim, or you made a mistake somewhere and now you're paying the price for it and there's no way out. Or you can choose to see this as training, as development, as a temporary piece of your story before you break through and enter a new amazing part of your life. There's one more side note I want to mention, and that is a lot of people do believe that they are being punished with what they're dealing with. And while that's technically possible, I suppose, I don't think that's true in the vast majority of cases, if at all. I don't believe God punishes people for your mistakes. I think it's more of if anything, you made a mistake and this is the best, most efficient way that you can learn and grow in the way you need to learn and grow. Or maybe it's not even that. Maybe this is just something you had to go through and we don't really know why, but I really don't think looking at this as a punishment is going to serve you in any way. So I'd encourage you not to follow that part of the Sisyphus myth. With that being said, it's been a pleasure sharing with you today, and if you enjoy this kind of stuff, mythology and philosophy as it relates to overcoming major challenges, let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts and perspectives, and if there's any topics you'd like to see me cover. You can find more about me and what I do and how I can help you in your journey at forgingyourlegend.com. Thanks so much and make it an amazing day.